that's pretty good, but we're breaking one of our rules here. Okay, we wanted to count 0 to 20 to skip the odd numbers. That's what our instructions say. So how am I going to skip the odd numbers? Does anyone have an idea?
Do an statement inside? Go ahead, Javier.
Oh, yeah.
Plus equals 2 in the for loop.
Okay, let's try it that way. So we're going to say, hey, you're going to take a look at how much we're going up every time.
2.
But I think you need to set your counter to 1 instead of 0 when you do that.
Sorry, say it one more time, Danielle.
I think you need to set your counter to 1 instead of 0 so that it becomes odd output instead of even output.
Okay, so let's try it once with it 0 and once with it as 1, okay? So there's it starting at 0, and there is starting at 1. Okay, so there's the 2 versions. So what happened there, Danielle?
It's even numbers.
The first one's even numbers, and the second one's all odd numbers, okay?
Oh, okay, I didn't see, yeah.
Yeah. So the first one, we're starting 0, and then we say like, okay, we're increasing by 2 each time. We say, okay, this is what we're doing each time. So again, this is a loop. You know, this is the code we're repeating each time. This is, you know, how our incrementer is changing each time. And this is our limit. This is where we're stopping. So the loop is all about doing code until we hit this limit. Again, please send any questions.
May I ask, is I required, or can this be any, or is it a reserved bar?
Yeah, so it's not reserved. We can use whatever variable. That's a good question. So let's try this again, and we're just going to use the dreaded foo instead. I hate examples with foo and bar, but it's just a good example of ridiculous language. Okay, so now if we say, you know, console.log I, this is going to break, right? Because I is not defined. But if we say console.log foo, boom, still works, okay? Questions on that?
Can you do other operators on the counter, or not the counter, the not the variable of the counter. So can you do like foo times 5?
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's try that. So let's say like, hey, we're going to do the same sort of limit, and I'm just going to make it times equals 2. Okay, so what happened there?
You multiply it by 2.
Yeah, I started as 1, and said the next time I'm 2, then I'm 4, then I'm 8, then I'm 16. So yeah, you could totally do that. Most of the time it's going to be pretty boring. Most of the time it's just going to be plus plus. So the way plus plus works is, let's say we have x equals 0, x plus plus, x plus plus, x plus plus. What's x now? It's 3. Okay. So Tim, what's plus plus do? Tim, I think you're on mute.
Just increments the variable by 1.
Yeah, just incrementally by 1 each time. It's plus plus. So it doesn't exist in all languages, but it is in JavaScript, and it's kind of useful. It's kind of nice. Okay. So if we want to just save this code in this code pen, one of the nice things about the code pens is that we can just say like, hey, we're going to type some stuff in here. And we're going to say like for, okay, let I. So while I'm saying let and I'm not really using the CSS much in this slide, it's over. For advanced people here, David, why would they use let? What's the point of let?
Like, actually, for JavaScript, it's been a while. I don't know that that's different for each language. I know let is you're defining the variable. Is that something to do with scope? Like,
yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. So you're defining the variable, and it does have something to do with scope. Who
I'm
can
assuming
help me out on that?
defining the scope internally for I so that it can't be changed out. Is that the point of using what there?
You got a little cut off there, but basically I is gonna make it so we're gonna say like, hey, we're going to have only one I for these curly brackets, and that variable is gonna stay with these curly brackets. And that's kind of the notion of scope. It's like, you know, can we redefine this variable? Can we use this variable outside this space?
Yeah, so if you didn't use let there, what would be the difference?
So if we say like, okay, we're gonna do, one of the neat things about CodePen is, okay, I just did the code there. You might be like, okay, where does it run? Well, when I go back to my inspect console.log, you'll see at the very bottom here, look, it just ran as soon as it loaded the page, okay? And then when I changed the code to have the plus equals 2, it ran again with that new change, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, okay? So you can leave that there, and that way you have your code saved. The console is nice, but then you go away from it and use that code. So basically, David, like if we didn't have let, we could say console.log. So if I say console.log I here, say this, and then I go back to my inspect.
You're internalizing.
Yeah, so this is gonna say I is not defined out there, right? But if I get rid of this let here, say that. I don't know if it really has to be saved, but we'll see. And I go back in here. Now, it is going to work. It's going to say, hey, this time I'm 22. So why is it 22 this time?
Because that last plus ran.
Yeah, that last plus equals 2 took me all the way up to 22. So the loop said, hey, forget about it. I only go up to 20. You know, stop. But I still existed outside these curly brackets because we didn't have let. So let keeps us inside of our curly brackets, okay? And for those of you who's wondering what's the difference between var and let, var just does that for functions, okay? Okay, let's skip the, well, we can make a function. Let's make a function right now. So I'm going to say, Control L will clear your screen. And I'm going to say, let's make a function call it well, we'll say let. We've been using let.
What will clear the screen?
Control L for me.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
No problem. So Control L will clear you. You can use let here, or use const, or use nothing. And we're going to say hi equals parentheses. I'm going to say hi guys. Okay. Okay, cool. So we've just made a function. So what is Raymond? What's a function? Can't hear you. Actually, still on some of you, I think.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Function is a delegated section of code that your main program can offload some work and compartmentalize it. It optionally will return values to the calling program.
That's exactly right. So we have our piece of code here. We've delegated and named. We call it hi. And now we can say, hey, when we call hi, you know, it'll do this code. Okay. So a lot of time you'll see this written in JavaScript. You'll say like const. I'm just leaving off the const for now because we didn't introduce that concept yet. But this is where we put the arguments, if there are any arguments. And then this is called a fat arrow. So this is the new school JavaScript syntax. So you could have been a JavaScript developer for like 10 years and never see this or never use it and be totally fine, that's fine. This is just kind of neat because it lets you do one-liners, lets you do implicit return, and some other neat things like that. So in this case, it's followed by our code. Now, if I just
do you only use that for one-liners?
Generally, you can do multi-line with curly brackets, you know, but the thing is, if you use curly brackets, then you are going to lose your implicit return. So we're not going to cover implicit return today, but for those of you who are familiar with return, basically in JavaScript, you have to write return unless you're doing a fat arrow function without curly brackets. Then it'll do returns for you anyway. Yeah, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so my function is called hi. If I type enter, what gets returned to me right there?
The entire function.
The entire function, that's right. Okay, so I want to call the function. To do that, I have to say hi and then parentheses. Okay, what happens then?
The function was wrong.
Yeah, the function's run. And you may notice because I didn't return anything, you know, I said, well, I returned console.log. Console.log is, called console.log doesn't return anything, just returns undefined, okay? So this is called a fat arrow function. It's kind of the fancy new way of writing function. I say new, it's like 5 years old, but you'll still see lots of developers who don't use this syntax and are scared of this syntax. You see lots of developers that try to do everything this way. It's totally fine either way, but I kind of like it, and it'll give you, a lot of times you look at your, like, you know, you're in a React course or something like that, we'll try to do everything this way. So it's a good thing to get used to, okay? So let's say I wanted to define this function a little bit differently, and I wanted to say hi and then write someone's name, okay? So Javier, how would I do that?
You're already inside the parentheses, so you can set a variable, I mean an argument name, like name, for example, and then when you call it, oh well, yes. So hi, instead of saying guys, you can concatenate, maybe erase guys.
Okay, so what does concatenate mean, Javier?
To add a variable to a string, for example.
Yeah, to add strings to something, to like make a big string by adding smaller strings. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's hi. I've defined this now. So now I'm going to say hi.
And inside the parentheses, you can, yeah.
Javier. Hi, Javier. Okay. Questions on that? Remember, you can send your questions over to Nicole for direct questions.
So JD asks if they can go through a for loop.
Oh, with the conditional. I want to say conditional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's do that in 1 second. Actually, we'll do that, JD, in the next example with the arrays. Okay. All right, cool. So we now have a function where we can pass in something. Okay. So our exercise says use a fat arrow function that logs a hello message. Call it 5 times with a for loop. Okay, so how can we use what we did last time with the for loop to now call my name function? So I'll just use the original version of my name function. I'm going to copy it, put in my code pen here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so now the function is defined there. Now I'm going to say like hi. And if I go back to what I was inspecting, come on, computer, you can do it. Okay, cool. Then we can see, hi guys, okay? So I want to do this 5 times using what I learned from my for loop, okay? So,
Ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Since JavaScript is an interpreted language, do the functions need to be declared prior to using them?
Yeah, you're supposed to declare the functions beforehand. So if we do this right here, let's experiment with that right now, right? So I'm going to call it right here, right there, okay? And let's take a look at what happens. And we should get our error here. See that? And just like Ray said, you have to define it before you call it. Okay, good question. Okay, so now we're going to switch back that order. I'm just going to Command Z that. If you don't use Command Z all the time, I really recommend it. It's the best way to fix your mistakes. So I want to call this 5 times now using my for loop. Let's see if we can find someone who has not talked so far. How people I can't tell. Nothing less. Okay, Mally, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I'm totally lost.
You totally lost?
Yeah, I guess I've never done a for loop. And oh wait, well, would you do the? Never mind, skip me.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, who wants to give it a shot?
Turn. Yep.
Who is that?
Me, Javier.
Okay, Javier, go ahead.
Okay, so in the return, instead of console.log I, you can return call the function hi. So hi parentheses.
Let's make a new for loop, Javier, right here.
Okay.
So what's the first thing I take in my for loop, Javier?
So let I would be 0.
Okay, so it's gonna be a new I. Let I equal 0.
Yeah. And then I, as long as I is less than 5.
Okay.
And I++.
Okay.
And the return would be calling the function, so hi parentheses.
We need our curly brackets first. So what do our curly brackets do there?
They are telling us that whatever is inside the curly brackets is it's going to be returned.
Yeah, so this is the code. No, not what gets returned. This is the code that gets run. Okay.
Okay.
So if the loop says do things 5 times, what happens between the curly brackets is the code that runs 5 times.
Okay.
So we say, hey, it's a for loop. So we're going to do a loop. It's a bunch of code until a condition is met. I start at 0, stop at 5, and I increase by 1 each time. So my condition from stopping is that I'm no longer less than 5. And then I'm going to say hi. So take a look and inspect here. It says hi guys. Whoa. So now we're getting hi guys 9,000 times. They sent this a ton of times. And now we get back to just saying it 5 times. Okay. So we said hi guys 5 times. If you guys can see the 5 there. What about I? We didn't use I this time. Why didn't we use I, Javier?
Because we were just using I as a counter, but we didn't actually need the number. We just calling that number of times.
Yeah, we didn't use it. We didn't care what number turn we were on. I is keeping track of the number turn that we're on. Okay.
If you passed I as a parameter into the function, but the function isn't written to receive a parameter, does it break or just does it ignore it?
Let's do it. We're putting I in. We're going to save that. And then we're going to go back here. And it doesn't break. JavaScript is going to try to call things even with the wrong number of arguments. And there we're just not going to use that argument. So if we change things up and we said, hey, this was num, okay, hi guys, plus num, and then we went back here. So what happened this time? What happened there, Ray?
Well, it received the parameter and then used it.
Yeah, so we can do it both ways around, right? So we can say, we can pass it without the parameter. And then we just say, hi guys, undefined, hi guys, undefined, hi guys, undefined, because num never got defined. We can get rid of num here. And then we're just gonna get hi guys 5 times. And since we're no longer using it, yeah, get rid of that. So JavaScript will go by the name of the variable in the function. It's basically just saying like, hey, this equals that, but I'm not going to create a distinct version for every number of arguments. You know, I'm not going to throw, you know, an error. I'm just going to say if you have too few arguments passed, those subsequent ones are undefined. You know, and if you have too many, I'm just not going to use them. Okay. So this can feel a little tricky because JavaScript is all this crazy syntax with the arrows and the curly brackets and stuff. But people have tried over the last like 5 or 10 years to make JavaScript more user-friendly. Instead of doing for loops, everyone dreads the for loop when they're learning how to program a little bit, but we've tried to head into the direction of the for each, which is iterating over a loop, okay? So a for each is for using an array and then going through each element in that array. So we want to use a for each to console.log everything in this array, and then we'll add a condition because JD wanted to experiment with that. So I have my array. We said 10, 2, 3. Okay, so who can define an array for me?
An array would be a series of values all stacked together in brackets.
Yeah, so it's a list of stuff, yeah?
Basically.
And we're going to denote it's an array by having square brackets. Square brackets means it's an array, okay? So we're just gonna have a list of stuff and we wanna use this loop to go through our list of stuff. So we're going to perform a piece of code for each thing in the array. The loop ends when we run out of stuff in the array, okay? So let's try this in our console here. We Control L to clear. Paste in my array. Not so bad so far. So, never dealt with arrays before. You can access a certain spot in them by saying square bracket and then, you know, a number. Square bracket 0, square bracket 1, bracket 2, square bracket 3, undefined. -1, undefined, okay? So computers always start counting at 0. So if you have this array, this is not 2 arrays, it's just 1 array followed by the index, the spot we're looking at, okay? So we're going to have this array and we're going to count through it using for each. One of the things I love about the JavaScript console is when you hit dot like this, you can see all the things that native JavaScript gives you. Okay, we're going to try to get to dot filter later, but the key one we're going to use here, the one you're probably going to use the most, is for each. Okay, so who here can define for each for us? We've seen for each before.
So this is Patrick. So basically, for each is going to iterate through each element within the array.
Yeah, we're going to go through each element in the array, and we're going to have to pass in something here. So if you look, I put parentheses here. It says, hey, callback function. So I have to pass in a function to this function. This is one of the crazy things about JavaScript. It's functional programming. It's all about functions. So, you know, a function could have a name, and usually it does, but JavaScript actually will have something called anonymous functions, which means you're not even going to name the function. So this gets a little bit crazy for some people. But what this means is, just like I said, that we could have hi equal parentheses, fat arrow, then some code. I can do the same thing here. Parentheses, fat arrow, console.log. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because what do I log? What you have to do is give yourself an argument. Say like, hey, this is like num, okay? And then my console.log, num. I said hum instead of num. How embarrassing. Okay, cool. So this time that worked. I make typos like that all the time. Don't feel bad if you make mistakes. I always make mistakes. So this is similar to what we did before, but it's a little bit different. We're creating this anonymous function in fat arrow syntax. We're saying, hey, I have an array. for each is going to take an argument. What's that argument? It's a function we're going to perform for each element of the array. Okay? So what are we going to do to each element in the array? Well, if the element is num, we're going to console.log num. Okay? So we say, hey, call this function. We're not even giving this function a name. We're just making a new function on the fly, putting it right here, and we get to decide whatever this is called. So I can say instead of num, I could write, you know, z. But then I have to change what I log out to z. Let's try and help. Okay. If I say like num here, again, sorry guys, my autocomplete is going crazy. Okay, so it's gonna say, hey, num, n is not defined. Same thing if I did num here. Come on, autocomplete, there you go. Where I define it is right here. I say, hey, pass this in and use z to symbolize this element in the array. So functions are a set of instructions you're giving. You're saying like, hey, this is behavior I want you to do. And with JavaScript loops, it's very common now to say like, hey, I'm going to pass you a set of instructions. I want you to follow those instructions for each thing that you have in your list. This can be a little tricky. If you have questions, please send them to Nico right now. This is like the trickiest part probably.
Yeah, it's like they would want a couple exercises to work on their own.
Okay, cool. So let's try to do an exercise where I want you guys to combine the first exercise and the third here. So we want to do the for each, and we're going to add one more part to this, which is an if. So I'm going to say, hey, curly brackets here. And then we'll say curly brackets there.
I'm getting an unexpected token error when I do the for each. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Like, what does that mean?
So you may just have a syntax issue. Why don't you direct message me your code, or direct message Nico your code, and I'll take a look at it. So what I'd like you to do, this is a condition. You can say like, hey, I want to, if this is true, console.log this. So I want you guys to try to figure out is only print out, make your own array, and only print out the numbers that are greater than 5, okay? And here I'll give you an example, 3 less than 4, they'll all print out. So with this example code, when you try it on your own to print out only the numbers that are greater than 5, okay? Should send you her code?
Nope, not yet.
Sorry, I'm doing it on my phone because I Zoom on my phone and the code on my computer.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Never mind. I got what I did. Never mind. I was putting 2 equal signs in the fat arrow. Of course.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Always something little.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Once you think that you have the solution of printing out only the numbers in your array that are greater than 5, I want you to paste it into the group chat.
You asked. What was the question you asked?
JD doing it with the one-liner. Very nice. Good job, Patrick. Yeah. So Tim's got, oh, Tim did the filter there. Okay, cool. So Tim, yours didn't print out. That's just going to establish the new array. That's fine. Okay, so a few guys have it here. So I'm just going to put it in the code pen so you can access it. Okay, so you can actually do this. Some of you know it, like JD. You can actually get rid of your curly brackets here. It's kind of crazy, but that should work. And then we just are going to say like, hey, we want z to be greater than 5. This is conditional logic. So conditional logic is just doing things in certain cases. Okay, so it said 10. Got printed out. Let's put in some more numbers. Let's say 13 to 14. We'll go back in. Yeah, those all printed out. Cool. Okay, let's do another exercise. What I'd like to do is we want to go through, we kind of already did the for loop with the odds. Filter, let's skip filter for now. Okay, so what you do is go through and in your array, I want you to take that number in your for each and make that the number of times that you say hi. Does that make sense? So if I said, if my array was, 2, 1, 3, I'm going to say, I want to print out hi 2 times, then print it out 1 time, then print it out 3 times. So I should end up with a total of 6 highs, okay? This is going to be basically a for loop inside of a for each. You can get it. Give that a shot. If you're still stuck in the first part and you need help, please send your questions to Nico.
Sorry, you one question. So we have to print high the amount of times we have numbers inside of the array.
Yeah, so you want to like, I want to print, let's do it this way. Print I 2 times. We'll do it this way. First, you want to print I 2 times.
Okay.
Then print
Hi 1 time.
I 1 time.
All right.
Then print I 3 times. So it should be a 4 inside of for each. Give that a shot.
So,
So some people have some different experience levels. Maybe next week we'll do like 1 beginner, 1 more advanced.
yeah,
Split it up.
yeah, we could split it.
Yeah. Okay. Something more of you guys to paste in your answers. These are all looking good. And then we have a couple attempts on the next part. Okay. Okay, so Hugo and Patrick look like they got this. Ugo, sorry, Ugo. Oh, sorry. Portuguese and Spanish pronunciations back. Ugo.
Okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Okay. So basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to say, like, hey, we're still going to do for each. And then we're going to do our function here. So again, you can do the Pharaoh syntax, even if it's not one-liner. You just use curly brackets and like that. So I'm going to do it with like times. And I'll say, okay, do a for loop. Let I, and we don't have to do I every time. It gets boring. So I should say like Spanish, Nico, veces.
Yeah.
Veces igual 0. Veces menos times. And then say plus.
I'm spelling veces wrong.
Am I spelling veces wrong?
Is it with a Z?
Yes, it's a Z.
Yeah,
Z.
this one's perfect. Yeah, it's a Z.
I thought that was for singular. That's plural also.
Yeah.
Oh man. My Spanish tutor is slipping.
Well, I caught it. I finally caught it.
Yeah, no, it's not her fault. I'm just kidding. Okay, and then we're gonna say like console log. Say times. What do we say? I plus times. Okay. Let's see how this is going. Memory property 3 of undefined.
Hi, Granger, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that console, it may be for everybody's benefit, but if you go to the console, go to the little gear icon at the top, and then check selected context only on the left in the checkbox, selected context only.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that. Check selected context. It takes away those errors.
Okay, cool.
It gets annoying. I mean,
yeah.
For me anyway.
No, that's a good call. That's a good call. That's
May
good.
help everybody else.
Okay, cool. So I think I still have an error though here. Maybe I'm missing a curly bracket. Yeah, good call, Tim. That looks a lot better. Okay. So anyway, I think I missed something here. So curly bracket open here. Curly bracket. No, that looks fine.
Isn't the I that must be in
the I? Which I?
console log, then I between.
Oh, hi. Yeah, maybe it's like this. I'm gonna add it to a function. Maybe yeah. Maybe you just want to say hi like this. We can say like. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. Okay. See an error there. I think it's getting rid of everything though, Tim.
Oh no, I mean if you anyway, it usually just cleans up those errors if you check back on the gear icon.
All right, well, I'll play with that. But yeah, I think I still have an error here. It's saying right there, right before the for each. I have something messy with one of my for eaches. Oh, maybe it's here. They don't finish that off right. That looks right. Last one more time. There we go. Okay. Hi too. I have some other errors, guys, in my other JavaScript. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I'll play with that for next week. I'm sorry about that. So, anyways, hi 2, hi 1, hi 3. That one's kind of advanced. I just wanted to close. Basically, I want to close class off, or that doesn't really make sense. Finish class up with an assignment that you can play with for next time, and then I'm just going to take questions. So if you don't want to like listen to people's questions, you can log off and join us next week. An update for you. If you want an advanced assignment, then this is one of my favorite assignments of all time. It might look familiar to you if you've done lessons with me before. Our friend the cat. So let's see. Put this in the chat. Okay, so let me say everyone. Yeah. Okay, so the way this works is that every time I reload this page, I'm going to get a new friend. I'm going to get a new cat. Okay. Now, I think cats are gross, really, to tell you the truth. Sorry if you're a cat. I'm just saying. Not a cat person.
I'm never coming back to this class again.
You see what she did?
No, see, now I got her interested, isn't it? Okay, I'm just kidding. I have no opinion. I'm just, personally, I don't relate to it. So here's our friend the cat, and every time we load the page, we get a new cat. So taking a look at the code that's right here, what is happening? You have to say, Tim, like what's going on here to make these cats appear. What would you say?
It's basically just fetching the API, random cat API, and then response, JSON response, and then it's displaying the image. And it's finding the main ID, the I guess in your HTML over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, main, and then it's basically adding that image.
Yeah, so we're saying like, hey, we're going to, this is all my HTML. It's pretty simple. It's just like, I have a section, this HTML tag. I'm just saying my images are going to only be this tall, just some styling. And then I'm going to say, hey, create an image with document.create element. Now, if you've used React or jQuery, you might be used to creating things a different way. That's fine. I'm just doing it this way because it's native, so you can use this in anything. Create element, it just takes as an argument the type of tag you want to create. Then I'm saying, okay, fetch from this API. This is a nice API because you don't need an API key, you don't need a password, you don't need to do anything fancy with a backend. You can just access the random cat API, and it'll give you the address of the cat. So let's just take a look at what happens when I go to this address. So I'm going to go to, let's make a new tab. I'm just going to paste this in, get rid of the quote mark. Okay, so what's this? What's this, Ray?
It's a JSON file.
JSON.
You guys faster than Ray on the trigger there. So yeah, this is JSON coming back here. So what's JSON? Anybody?
Object.
It's a convention. It's a convention for serializing name value.
Yeah, that's right, Ray. It's a convention for serializing things. That means taking something like an object and making it a string so we can send it somewhere else. Okay. So this is actually string here, and then we're going to parse this. So if you look in your network tab, and we can go console network, and we'll reload the page. You can see the API call to meow and see the response. This is the response that comes back. Okay. And we can do this even in the console if you want. You can say like, hey, I'm going to fetch. Put that in. And you'll end up with promise. And then you can use .thens from a sample code to parse that. You can say like, let's go back to this. I say, hey, take what you get back, parse it as JSON, the .json, and then we're going to assign that image. Anyway, I'm getting too into this. The whole thing is that as a bonus homework assignment, I want you to create a button that every time you press the button will add a new cat to the screen, okay? If you've done this before, try to do it without looking at your previous example, or try to do it without Googling, okay? Try to just figure out how to do this from the stuff that's there. A button that when you click it, is going to add a new cat to the screen, okay?
Hey everyone, before you log off, I just added a form to the chat. I'm also gonna post it to the Meetup event. If you have time, if you feel like it, just send us some feedback. We want to do these more frequently. We want to have more free online classes weekly, stuff like that. So I just want to make sure this is working out for everyone. So please send me some feedback, and we're definitely going to look into that. But thanks for coming.
Yes.
Thanks.
And I'll be here first, so I'm going to take the next 10 minutes to address questions on any of the stuff.
Good.
I know we just kind of jumped in this time and got going, but we weren't sure what the response would be and who would be around. I know that everything changes day by day right now, but as of right now, we'd love to see all you guys back here next Thursday afternoon. Yeah, so if you want to stick around and ask questions, you can direct message the questions, or if you feel brave, you can just, button audio-wise and ask. And otherwise, if you're checking out, it was good to see you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Of course. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Are you guys in Pennsylvania?
Go ahead. Sorry.
You guys in Pennsylvania, or
yeah.
So like map is basically gonna, if you could use it the same way, but if you just don't care about the result, map will functionally do the same thing. But you should realize that map is returning something versus like my for each. When I use for each, you might see undefined at the end there because it's not returning any kind of new array. So an example of where you use, we didn't really go over .map today, but if you really want to use .map, you might say, well, I want to take a list of names and I want to make a new list that has all the names capitalized. Or I have a list of emails and I'm going to like make all of those emails lowercase. So I'm going to have a list of stuff, but change each thing in the list in a specific way. That's what .map is.
So was it like mutating the original array as well?
No, it does not mutate the original array. That's a good question. It just returns a new array based on the original.
Thank you.
No problem.
When you do development, do you like use TypeScript, or like are there any frameworks that you specifically use all the time?
I've used TypeScript. I used TypeScript on a project in Colombia actually last year. It's fine. It's not really my thing. I used CoffeeScript for about a year and a half on a job I had. I tend to just write in vanilla JavaScript, but flavors of JavaScript can give you different features. Some of these features you see now in JavaScript start off as things in CoffeeScript that people were just kind of playing with. They thought would be nice, like the fat arrow functions, and you put the implicit return. You see the fat arrow function. That's basically from CoffeeScript. TypeScript is cool. It's just like I don't really use it on a day-to-day basis. I see it a lot with code that I see on React or Angular projects. So if you want to get into React or Angular, I recommend like having a passing understanding of TypeScript.
Yeah.
Tricky thing is just going into
JavaScript is like type safety is not thought of in JavaScript at all, which is strange coming like Swift and Objective-C and stuff like that. It's like that's always built in. There's frameworks that are like image grids and buttons and stuff like that. Like, are there standard frameworks that you use out there to sit there and kind of do all the scaffolding for that stuff? Like
you're saying like for like the structure of the HTML and all that stuff?
Yeah, or I guess like components, right? Like standard way buttons work, or a standard way like image grid would be loaded, or a carousel, stuff like that.
I mean, the common one to start with, if you're coming from the world of like iOS into JavaScript, just all we do is mess around with Bootstrap, basically, web developers. We're all just, screwing around with Bootstrap. So I think Bootstrap is where a lot of people start. So I hear a lot of people, a few of my students really like Tailwind. Tailwind might be cool to play with. Those are the two that stick out.